Good morning, YouTube. Today is Thursday morning. I'm actually in the process of a progress check, but I wanted to make a separate video to show you how I clean. You can see that this, I don't know if you can see how dirty that is. Clean and maintain my tumblers. This is the Thumlers Model B. I put a fan on here because this motor gets really hot. And these things are constantly turning right here. So you need to oil them up and clean them up. So this video is just going to be about how I do that. I do that once a month. The excuse me. The first progress check of the month, I go ahead and do my monthly maintenance, and I'll show you how that's done. Just a side note, you see I've got my 5-gallon bucket back here. That's full of grit from the tumbler. You cannot put that stuff down the sink because it will just ruin your plumbing. It turns to like concrete down there in your plumbing, and it's disaster. So you have to do something with it. I happen to have a hole in my backyard from where I removed a dead bush, and at that point my dogs decided that would be a real good place to continue digging that hole and make it really big. Well, that was right about the time I started tumbling, and it just worked out perfectly for me to dump my slurry from the tumblers down in there. So just a little side note, can't dump your tumbler slurry down the sink. You have to have some other place to do it, and that's my story. So stand by for the rock tumbler maintenance. Okay, so we'll start off with cleaning the barrel. This barrel is actually not too bad. I do a pretty good job every week of just wiping off the surface, wiping off the top of it here, because that's where the seal is. And if there's going to be a leak, it's here. So I try to make sure I do a good job of making sure that I clean this off really well on the top and the bottom, so there's no grit or anything in there that might allow for a leak. And then I just give everything a good once over. But today, what I'm going to do is the normal once over, clean everything. This rubber gasket pulls out of this barrel. I'll clean down in there, in between this area right here, and then I will take, excuse me, my 3-in-1 oil. This has got the silicone. I don't know if this is the perfect stuff to use, but this is what I use, and it seems to do pretty well. So when I'm done with that, wiping everything down really well, I will take that 3-in-1 oil and just wipe down the inside. Just put the thinnest little coat that you can possibly put on there, just to keep it from rusting, keep it clean. And the same thing on the outside, just a real thin coat of oil. I learned this the hard way, don't put oil here and here, because that's where it sits on the tumbler and spins. If you oil this, the rod will turn, but the tumbler will not. It'll just sit there and spin. So don't oil this part and this part, but everything else, I do give it a real nice thin coat of oil. So stand by for that. Okay, so that's what I do with the barrel. Um, every week I just give it a good rinse down on the outside, and then the first progress check of the month I take the rubber out and clean the whole thing just like you saw. And that's it for the barrel. That's the easy part. This is the base, the actual tumbler part with the motor. I put a fan. This is a little 4-inch fan you can get on Amazon. I don't know, 15 bucks or something. I did some research before I bought the Thumlers Model B, and a lot of people were saying that this motor gets very hot, and it does. You know, I don't know why they chose that motor. It seems to me they should have got a bigger one. But when a motor gets really hot, I mean so hot that you can barely touch it, that definitely shortens the life expectancy of that motor. So I put this fan on it and it keeps it cool. I mean now it's just warm to the touch instead of so hot that you can barely touch it. So I definitely recommend doing that. Now another thing about this is I also have the Extreme model 17 Rebel Extreme 17, and it's a little different, but I do everything pretty much similar. I put the same fan on here and do everything similar. It's a little different because it's constructed differently. One day I'll do a video comparing the two, but for today I'm just going to show you how I do my maintenance on the Thumlers Model B. This is the belt that comes with it. You see how kind of nasty that gets. So I cleaned that up, and then these right here are just nylon bushings. You can see that black oil in there. That black oil has been used, so just like the oil in your car, you got to get rid of that black stuff and replace it with nice new stuff. So I'll show you how I do that. Make sure you don't get oil where the belt goes, because once again it'll just spin and ruin everything. Your towel is going to get black oil all over it, so be ready for that. The base here, this is where the belt goes to. Make sure you do not put oil in there. I do put a little drop of oil right in there because that's turning 24/7, man. That thing's just turning. So I give it a little drop of oil in there, and then everywhere that you see where this thing turns, right here, that's another nylon bushing. You got to oil it, and you know, that old oil turns black, and it needs to come out of there and be replaced with nice new oil. So it's kind of a dirty job, and I haven't even really gotten started yet. Look at that. I'm gonna take off my shirt too. So this is how I do this, and when I'm done with that, I'll give this whole thing a good wipe down and get it nice and clean and pretty, and it'll be good to go for another month. So I'll get started on that and fast forward through that so you don't have to watch every excruciating detail in real time. Okay, so that is the monthly maintenance on the tumblers. I do that the first progress check of the month. The fan helps cool the motor for longevity. Get everything nice and clean and pretty. Pretty much looking like new. You know, and when you set this thing on there, this part screws on there. I've got the bolts over there. I just want to make sure that you know that you put the screws away from the belt and everything. The screws go on this side. Make sure you do not oil the rubber part. You only oil the nylon gaskets and the metal part. If you oil this, you're just messing everything up. So that's it. That's the monthly maintenance on the Thumlers Tumbler Model B. Thanks for watching.